The US is quickly losing goodwill in the Middle East. It is losing allies at a fast pace. And their problem is not with the United States. Their problem is with Joe Biden's policies. Now, in a latest snub for the Biden administration, Egypt and Israel are joining hands and sending out a stern message. Hi, and welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I am your host, Shubhangi, and in this video, we shall discuss how Israel and Egypt are strengthening regional alliances to resist Biden's disastrous policies. Since the installation of Joe Biden as the 46th President of the United States, the entire globe has been watching closely as to what Joe Biden's policy is regarding the Middle East. 1 month down the line, it is clear that the 78-year-old's policies are a complete volte-face of his predecessor Donald Trump's approach. So, sensing hostility from the US, the Middle Eastern state of Israel has taken the initiative to control the narrative on its own. Recently, Egypt's energy minister visited Israel to meet PM Benjamin Netanyahu. Together, the duo discussed the volatile region of the Mediterranean and how the discovery of natural gas in the region was an amazing opportunity for cooperation between Israel, Egypt, and other countries on energy and other matters. Meanwhile, the Egyptian minister also became the first to visit Israel since Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry met with Netanyahu in 2016. While the visit can merely be seen from the optics of a routine diplomatic meet, but its implications are far wider than what is being projected. You see, by banding together as one, Israel and Egypt have sent a stern message to American President Joe Biden. Firstly, Biden has been reminded by Israel that it will not be pushed around by the Democrats just so they can satiate their bruised egos. The biggest failure of the Joe Biden administration has been the lack of a clear and cohesive foreign policy regarding Israel and Iran. While the US ally Iran is increasingly drifting away from Washington, the complacency of Joe Biden is simultaneously allowing Iran, Israel's biggest nemesis, to reach its dreams of developing its own nuclear bomb, all while Biden desperately tries to restore the 2015 US-Iran nuclear deal. In a show of insincerity, Biden called Netanyahu nearly after a month of his presidency, and Jerusalem is getting antsy about the cold shoulder treatment that Washington is extending to it. The signing of the Abraham Accords under President Trump was seen as a watershed moment that would bring Israel into the mainstream. But Netanyahu's chemistry with Donald Trump was too much for Biden to take. So he is undoing all the work that benefited Israel and brought peace to the Middle East. Adding insult to injury, the Democrat president is also raking up the Palestine issue, which certainly has not gone down well with Israel. As for Egypt, President Biden has made no attempts to hide his animosity for the leadership of Egypt, which had ousted the Muslim Brotherhood government. As a presidential candidate, Biden had tweeted, "No more blank checks for Trump's quote-unquote favorite dictator." He was referring to President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Egypt sees a hostile regime in the United States, but at this point, it is forming alliances with Israel. Moreover, the threat of Turkey and its military in the Mediterranean eyeing the precious oil resources is reason enough to join hands in a much greater capacity with Israel. Reported by TFI extensively, a declaration was signed in May last year by a combined bloc of Cyprus, Egypt, France, Greece, and the UAE, denouncing Turkey's illegal drilling efforts around Cyprus, its military intervention in Libya, and its maritime borders deal with the GNA. Furthermore, Egypt dreads the Muslim Brotherhood if it again gains power in the unstable region in the form of a radical Erdogan's Turkey. After the Arab Spring, Egypt had a horrific experience with the Muslim Brotherhood, and Turkey and its leader Erdogan still support the extremist ideology. Thus, siding with a military power like Israel in the Middle East is going to put pressure on Ankara, which will think twice before coming for Egypt's resources. The Eastern Mediterranean is arranging itself into a stronger regional alliance, with Israel orchestrating the entire chain of events. Biden can only ignore the situation for so long. Jerusalem is slowly bringing the Middle East into its alley, and if Biden wants to play the big broody villain in this encounter, then it certainly will be a big strategic blunder.